Shortly after Agrin's announcement, we got this idea that has been floating around, and essentially I see it everywhere. I see it in my comments, I see other creators talking about it, it is all over the forums, and that idea is one thing and one thing only, and SoD Fresh. Now, I think this comes off the back of SoD ending, obviously, and people just kind of left feeling like, what the heck, I wanted more. And some people who mainly either missed the Phase 1, Phase 2 experience, or just were really fond of it, want to go again. And while some people like that, I personally don't think that that is a good idea. And as you saw by the title, I think it's a terrible idea. So I'm going to take the time to switch it over here and sort of give you the vibe and what people are talking about, as well as share my own thoughts with it. So without further ado, let's switch it on over. Alrighty, so this is the comment page for yesterday's video, and Sniper, who's been a good dude pretty much all of Season of Discovery, played a lot. I've DM'd with him quite a bit, and has some usually pretty good opinions, and we're usually on the same page. So with something like this, and there's just such a divide, I really want to highlight it and talk about it. So he said it might be time for a SoD private server at this point. So he has commented on the other videos asking for a SoD Fresh. So I said, I have no idea why you want to start over so badly. It's such a bad idea. Then he said, I have no idea why you say that. I asked Hammerdance to put out a poll on his channel and asked people if they would rather play SoD Fresh or MOP, and 70% of people responded SoD Fresh. People don't want to play MOP. Everyone's trying it out because there's no other option. But my prediction is that 90% of SoD players will level a tune to 90 in MOP and then unsub. Also, another reason for starting over is that with SoD, we didn't know what was coming. So you play a spec, you'd think, oh, I like it. Oh, it turns out Nomer's super melee unfriendly. So, and you get into a raid, melee hunter main. Oh, it turns out they're 30% behind range hunter in Molten Core. Better respec. It constantly threw people off. This time around, people can play the game with some foresight and build their raids knowing what's coming, and not to mention trying specs classes they haven't played before, or opposing faction to try Paladins and Shaman. It's really not that far-fetched of an idea. So I said, alright, I put a poll up, Phase 9 or SoD Fresh. He said, okay, well, you might understand, okay, I might understand the miscommunication here. Yes, if the choice is between Phase 9 and SoD Fresh, I'm with you 100%. My understanding is that they are done with SoD development, so the question is, what do you want with SoD players until Classic Plus comes out? I'm not a developer, but I assume that a copy-paste server of SoD would require minimal maintenance, and I simply think that's better to hold off until Classic Plus. Obviously, Phase 9 would be best. So I said, if we keep running on our hamster wheel, we'll never get anything new. So that's just sort of it is a good discussion that we had about it all. Here is the poll results of said poll. So it's actually funny that it's a 70-30 split with 448 votes. It's just really funny because Phase 9, like, people want new is what this shows me. Like, they don't want to do the same thing over and over again. If they get a choice, they would pick new content. So that's the importance of this poll instead of starting over. Obviously not the same. I could have put in MOP, I suppose, in there to make people have another choice, but it's not really about that or MOP. Here are some ideas on the forum. So this was one of the earliest posts, and he says, SoD players will not be going to MOP, and Classic Plus is at least a year away. I suggest you release a SoD Fresh server with today's SoD client that includes all the lessons learned over the last 18 months. No leveling phases, 1 to 60 at launch, no lockouts for BFD, no Mer or ST. Adjust EXP gains to be like other dungeons. This way players can spam them for gear or alternative to questing. No spammable incursions. I think this is just hilarious to say normal XP, so it's just like other dungeons, so people can spam that, but then instantly saying no spammable incursions. Like, it's such a, it's like literally the biggest contradiction you see right there. MC released 2 weeks after launch, and then each phase 2 months apart. Once the cycle is over, merge players with the existing SoD server. SoD players will be far happier with this over free boost to a version of the game they have no interest in playing. Someone said, no gnomes, filthy creatures. New raid and SoD sound legit. Phase 9 hype. Amen. Phase 9 hype. Never let it die, guys. Who needs this 60 again? We were here to have fun at 25 in Asheville, at 40 in Vietnam. He means Stranglethorn Vale. Why do we need another version of it with MC and level 60 bullshit? Just play regular SoD for this. SoD was the closest thing Blizzard is ever going to come to Classic Plus. So I just disagree with that statement. But anyway, let's go to the next one. Since so many people love SoD and are sad to see sad to see that we have come to an end. What would the consensus be on maybe a SoD Fresh with all current class changes in the jump? The devs could then still tweak classes as needed, but not have to devote time to creating content. I'm not saying I would for sure want that. It's just a hypothetical to gauge player interest. I would settle for anything right now. A fresh SoD with current patch and expedited phases could get us to Classic Plus. That would be great. Then merge the SoD servers together and put that on life support while we move to Classic Plus. So this is the same dude who made the other post. What is not an option for me is moving to Anniversary with terrible classes or MOP with the Destroyed World, Raid Finder, GDKP, and Pandas. Dude is a certified Panda hater. Alright, and then let's go to this one. Now this one is crazy. SoD Fresh with all runes up front would be a legit blast. I don't want to have to go out and get all the runes again, but SoD Fresh would be legit right now. So you want a fresh season of Discovery, but you don't want to go through the process of getting the runes again. Then what exactly do you want? The entire point of a fresh season is starting over, engaging with the progression, and experiencing the journey from the ground up. Runes are a core mechanic that makes SoD unique, and skipping past them would undermine the experience. A new season isn't about convenience, it's about embracing gameplay and earning your setup again. If you're looking for a shortcut, then maybe you don't actually want a fresh season, you want instant gratification. So very interesting points. I actually really agree with this. So those are just sort of the arguments, the things people are saying, laying out. So I wanted to take the time to talk about my personal thoughts and why I think it is a terrible idea. So the very first one is SoD has changed so much from phase 1 to 8. Like, if you look at each phase, it's almost a completely different game. They added things, they changed runes, they made classes so much different, they tweaked them, they nerfed them, they buffed them. Is that really what you want? Do you want it to be exactly how they did it and just re-release that cycle in that way? Or do we want it, on the final patch like we've seen with Classic? Sure, it's great knowing things and knowing what's going to come and the level upgrades, but, what's the point of doing it all again if we're just going to end up here and dying? Right? The end is SE, and that is where we're headed, and what would be the point of just going through all of it again just to meet that same ending, regardless of if we have it how we had it for the 18-month climb, or if we get just an end patch with other things. And I think that would really, what's the point of having SoD Era if we want to do a SoD Fresh? I think SoD Era is going to be dead by August personally, and so I think if they did that again, we would just kill it even faster. Then the next one is, do you want phases or do you want the 1 to 60? Do we want to sit there and go through the phases? And if we do that, are they going to be 4 weeks, 2 weeks, 8 weeks? How long do we want the phases? We generally average 10 weeks for the phases here in Season of Discovery, phase 1 through 8. And that's crazy because that's 18 months, but obviously it wasn't. Some were 8 weeks, some were 14 weeks. Do you guys want the Rune Broker from the start? Get them all? Do we just get the 2 to 3 slots per phase like we had? It's so different knowing what runes are there, what we're going to get. Do we accelerate? If we have an accelerated phasal schedule, do we accelerate reps like Warsong Gulch, AB, PvP ranks as well? Do we get the XP buff from the beginning to level very fast, or we keep it like normal? These are all things that I think are very divisive and very important questions to ask, because SoD at this point has given us all that. It's given us so many conveniences, has helped us with getting our alts ready, getting us to the end game, getting us to that raid ready position, and it's just I don't know if I think these would be deal breaking decisions for some people. And finally, the most controversial one of them all is the Rune Broker. I think this choice alone would instantly divide half the player base. As someone who nearly got every rune in the game for Phase 1 and Phase 2 on every single class, except for Paladin, obviously. And I thought they were fun. I enjoyed doing it. Phase 2 got a little repetitive because there weren't as many unique storylines and runes and quests to go and do. But all in all, I really enjoyed it, and I would definitely it makes the experience more. It's satisfying to be oh sweet, I went and got this, I spent my time, I spent an hour, spent 2 hours going in this rune, and now I can use it in my raid tonight and have a blast doing that. I honestly can't see a world where people would go out there and enjoy doing that. I don't think it's for everyone, and that's why the Rune Broker exists to begin with, because we reached a point where people just were like, nah, I'd rather just not play instead of log in and go and get 30 runes. So personally, SoD Fresh would probably be great for me. My number one video all time is, and this is from 2019, and even then I had some really good gold farming videos. But my number one video all time is how to get 12 Druid runes in Phase 1 of Season of Discovery. So would I play it? Yeah, I probably would. But just to experience Paladin and the Alliance, because that's the other side I didn't get to do, and it'd be fun to take vengeance on all the people who pressed bubble and just one-shot me, so I could run around and do that to them. But if nothing is different and it's just going again with the same things, I just don't see it being that successful, and I think it divides the SoD community, and I think it just drops a nuke on SoD era, and it's just to me, it tarnishes everything that SoD is and was. The whole point of SoD was discovering things. It was finding new content. It was adding to the existing classic world in new, interesting, fun, and exciting ways, and just relaunching SoD to do the same thing that we just did for 18 months. I just think it's just a punch in the gut at this point. If we don't have Paladin, we don't have Shamans on both factions, and maybe, if they did SoD Hardcore, I think that would be way more interesting to me, at least, other than SoD Fresh. I know SoD isn't really scaled for Hardcore, and there would be some mechanics like Dust to Dust that would absolutely blast us, but I think it would be a really fun thing to try, and just see how far you could get. Hard modes would definitely be hard modes, like people die so much in AQ and stuff like that, so it'd be really interesting to see how it all plays out and what you could do. But personally, I really truly believe that the classic community is divided enough. The last thing we need is another version of World of Warcraft to split the player base even further. People want new content. I think Karazhan Crypts and Scarlet Enclave prove that beyond a reasonable doubt. That's why I put the poll up comparing it to Fresh or Phase 9. It really does suck to lose Season of Discovery so suddenly. It really, really, truly does. But overall, I think the future for Classic is quite bright. We have Mists of Pandaria coming out, and we have TBC coming out. Two awesome games that I think will be fun to go on new adventures and experiences while we wait for them to sit there and cook in their proverbial kitchen and give us the Classic Plus we deserve. But I really do think that SoD has to die for that dream to become a reality. And if we're sacrificing SoD for it, I really hope that we get something truly amazing that we'll talk about for years to come. But anyway, guys, those are just my thoughts. If you disagree with me, tell me why. If you agree with me, tell me why. I would truly love to hear each and everyone's opinions on this, because I think it's an important thing to the community, and where to go, what direction we want to take. And I'm just sharing my thoughts, my experiences, and my opinions. So I'm just a guy like you out here playing Season of Discovery. So I truly hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, I'll see you later. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Hey you. Yes you. Are you still there? Well, I appreciate you for taking the time to watch this entire video and making it to the end here. If you enjoyed this video, definitely check out the other videos about World of Warcraft listed in these playlists down below. And thank you again. Have a great day. Bye-bye.